Visitor comments.
That's good. Can I sit up here?
Come on up, Dave.
First of all, Webster's 5th Annual Porch Fest is this Sunday, October the 6th. And in fact, we're playing one of our 18 performers on Judy Mann's porch at 500 Lee. In fact, there are 3 harpists. They're called Young and Harp. And they've been with us 2 years and they're awesome. I mean, they're so refreshingly different. That's really cool. I had just a question on just City of the Arts slogan, official slogan, potential slogan for the city of Webster Groves. I know there were a flurry of emails. I know the mayor got involved in it a little bit. And I think she expressed, I think in one of her emails, I don't really think the slogan's needed because we use it. So I'm just asking for that. And related to that, I have a lot of friends who are business owners in this town, and I'm just curious as a resident that the banners, from the information that I've heard, haven't sold very well with the businesses. And I'm just curious as to why. Is it cost? Is it need? Is it because they don't support the slogan? You know, I'm just curious why the lack of participation. I would think they'd be jumping. So the next thing is that, I don't know, I forget where this was in Webster, but I saw a purple fire hydrant and all purple. And I thought it was really cool. And if you've ever read the book, The Tipping Point, which is a great book, the byline is little ideas can make a big difference. And in the area of public art, painting our fire hydrants, and there's a lot of them in this town, could be kind of cool. Which leads to the next thing, which is there's public art, but a dimension of public art is participative art. And see, all the things that the city and even Webster Arts does, you know, you all create and you put up, whether it's the Ascension statue, sculptures, Murray Lynn Bradley's painting on the side of Schnarr's Hardware. It's all you create and the public enjoys. But when Meg Nash and we headed up Camp Creativity at Webster Arts for 5 years, and the most popular activity was the mural. The white mural, very long, longer than this table, white on both sides. Meg would paint like a coloring book outline that kids could color in, but the other side was just white for like graffiti, and you could paint anything. And it was wonderful. It was one of the most popular activities, and then they killed it because I don't know. It was, I think, a really poor decision. But the point is, it's participating art, and I think that whether it's fire hydrants, trash cans, whatever, I think you could start small and have a day where people come out and paint, and you engage the public in the creation of public art, not just put it up. So that's just. And the last thing is, as Janice knows, I spend a lot of time working at Starbucks. Janice goes there about every morning. I meet a lot of people at Starbucks, and I had a great conversation just the other day with a woman named Megan Robb, who is an art therapist. And I had never thought about art therapy relative to the Arts Commission or Webster Arts. But I've been doing some research into it, and it's really powerful, and it's really important, and it's really unique. And it's just a dimension of art that I think this commission or Webster Arts really hasn't thought about. And I think about it because of the controversy with KDC over here in the Northwest neighborhood folks, which is intense. And, you know, those are kids that benefit from art therapy. And so I don't know where all that goes, but I just wanted to lastly say, I thought Alex did a great job, 2 weeks ago, in the work session with City Council in presenting the Arts Commission master plan. They did a great job, covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time. And I hope, I don't know if you've gotten any feedback from it or any questions, but.
I think we just got to discuss in the day.
Oh.
But we do need to.
Okay, so anyway.
But thank
that's
you.
it.
I agree. Fabulous job. Minutes. we have April, May, June, July, and
And
August.
September.
And September.
So August was not a meeting. There was
Oh,
no,
that's
there was
right,
canceled
September.
meeting. So that was me going in order and then realizing I nipped a month there. So I gave you also a packet here in print as well. And I know we might have some changes, so I
Yeah,
will.
did anybody have a chance to review them? Did anybody have any corrections to the minutes?
I have no corrections.
No corrections.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved.
Awesome.
Okay, new business, Lifetime Achievement in the Arts Award Planning.
Madam Chair and members, I will share, Beth, so you can see this as well. Give me 2 seconds to find the share button again here. Gotta get back in the rhythm of this. I did put together, and this is in preview form, so this is not live to the public, but this is on our website through Civic Plus, what a form looks like. And so I put together based on the information you provided. It's going to autofill my name in because I'm signed in, but the submitter's information with all the details that we had asked for and normally asked for, and then the nominees' information, the nominated parties' information. Try to give them some rubrics there to help walk people through things. So have me scroll down as slow or as tell me to go back whenever you need. And then moving into rationale, the details, that's a free and open text box, but it requires some answer. Give them the ability to upload files, and then they can provide us links as well. And then any other information to share. But
Do we want to limit the number of files that we'll send in?
so it's actually, it's really 20. Now, if you think I should change that language to be not as many, I didn't know that, but people would try to put 20 up there, but maybe they would, so.
Yeah, we were saying as many files if you like, so we. should
Well, it's
probably
also like
tell
if somebody
people
has a
what it
lot of
is.
photos,
Yeah,
20
okay.
pictures isn't hard to.
Right.
What
But
I do.
if there is a limit, we should probably let people
Not a problem.
know that.
I'm gonna go on this side and change it while you're all looking on that side, so.
And is there a difference with photos versus say video? Yeah.
So if it's a file, it's going to take a PDF, PNG and things like that.
Okay,
Videos
alright.
will not load up into the document center, so. These all go into essentially the same place like your minutes go in the document center and such, so if I will make that note on the rubric. We don't have a place to give just specific links and then they just come in as links, so this is a text box for the links where they would type the link in, put a comment in, give us the next link. But I separated that field because it's gonna all flow into a spreadsheet so that whoever has to deal with this data has it all separated out on another way. I added this any other information to share because I didn't think we wanted to have 4 different address possibilities. If you have an artist with a studio and then, a couple of residents and a winter residence or something like that. But as a place just so they can add those extra things. So I tried to encourage them, what's your best contact information? Put that up with the nominate and anything else that we didn't ask for that you think we need. Put here, so. And then it's this, what you can't see down here is they would go through the recapture, make sure they're human. And they would submit and print. They would give them the option to print, and they also have the option to email themselves their submission. And then the submission would go to whoever we want to have the admission. I will get a copy, but I can send them to all the members. I can send them to one member to be in charge. However you want to do it.
And then I didn't see up at the top, what are they seeing in terms
So,
of?
yeah, so this is, great question, Dan, as I know right where you're going. This is the form center, which is just pulls up forms individually. What we would probably have happen, and I'm gonna try to find a way to move this out of the way and go to your page, is we would take that form and embed it right in the Lifetime Achievement of the Arts, page. So you'd have the form living in this page, so we could put the details right in the web page, and the form would be like a widget right in that page.
Then we sent some information to further define what those contributions might be. Do you have
Correct, that was the email that you sent, correct? Yeah, I've got that. It doesn't go in the form,
Okay.
so because there's no way for the form won't show that header kind of
But
information.
that would be here.
It
so
would
that
be
you
here
can
on the
see in
web page,
advance.
which I just did put up
Okay,
there,
all right.
so that. So yes, I've got all the information from your email, and it can go here. We can move the recipients around. It's all a matter of just where we want to put it. And you are all a creative bunch, so I'm gonna make my one suggestion. I'm a little bit creative, and I can put the things where you want them on the web page. If you would maybe you want to do this around the whole table with everyone, or is there just one person who's sort of in charge and tells me, let's make it look like this. Let's use these images of art to add, so it's not just a blank form, that's pretty stale. Or a couple people, it's just some smaller group, so otherwise you're gonna get Eric Peterson's impressions, and that's a pretty white wall.
So we can put art in there?
Oh, absolutely. So, yep.
Images?
So just like this is an image, we can put images in there, we can put sliders, we can put a carousel, we can embed a video, we can take a document and embed in it, so we can make that all happen. Again, that's what I'm saying is that creative touch of what you want in there is not my forte and expertise. I can get it in there, just need someone to tell me what needs to go.
Well, I can compile it if people want to give me suggestions.
Great.
I'm gonna be gone October 16th through the November 3rd though, so. Pass them around and get to you.
That's fine, and then what I can do is give somebody access to look at it and make sure it's good, but I'm also even fonts, all those things like we talked about with the banners, we went through a very creative conversation, which was good. But, if you want a different font, those kinds of things, you can give me that feedback and guide me in that way.
And this is where I would put the information in about when you'd have to turn your submissions in
Yep.
and.
Correct, yes, and so the information you had provided, has this sort of paragraph right there, and we still have that blank. I think we talked about the fall and sort of somewhere having them in summer or something for y'all to look at or review.
On by springs, we could review them
Right.
during this, especially if we go on, so.
Right. Well, and if you're going to use the event as a fundraising event and these other things, that's sort of an important date to then back in a lot of things around, so.
March.
Did the
March
first order
30th,
or like March 31st or April 1st?
March 31st.
Yeah, it's not too late. It's
March 31,
Uh-huh.
and is that for the fall event, or we're sort of patterning around the fall event then?
Yeah, and then we could see, we should just set the fall event based upon who's getting the award and then just what else is going
Right.
on.
Yep.
That might shift depending on what the art is.
I thought about this as we talked about the types of arts, and obviously your mission statement in the ordinance is very heavy on public art, and there's a lot of different ways to do public art, but just even thinking about it's cybersecurity month, and I was like, oh, we have AI art now to figure out. I don't even know if that's art. I don't want to get into the ethics of that. I don't want to get into the ethics of it, but I'm just saying you're going to see that come up. Why the guy who did what's the monkey, the all that money that got made. What was the thing?
Well, it's visual, so it's covered
Yeah.
if we decide we want to.
Right.
Make
So
a
I'm
subjective
just, I'm
choice
starting
on
to
that.
think about, we have a lot of different modes of mediums. I think. Actually, have a look at your face.
I could talk about this the entire
Let's
session.
not.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sure.
That's why I have a look that says not talking about it anyway.
Okay.
So this is something we want to put up for,
So we can put up whatever. I think you want to plan in this is your first ever like public solicitation, right? So I think you really want to find a time, I would say before the holidays. If you're gonna be gone, so I think if we have it all ready at the next meeting to say, our last final go folks here around the table, speak now and I can make some edits as we go, but really then probably launch first week of November, so we're not totally lost in the holiday shuffle. Press release, all that. Alex, I'm looking at you too.
Yeah.
Everyone, so
Yeah, everybody's got the porch decorations off from Halloween, so.
yeah. Maud, your thoughts?
Can we get somebody to talk to the Western Kirkwood Times to do a big alert there that it's there?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
When we launch it.
Yeah,
after we launch
well,
it.
and I think to do that, then why don't, if you all would do some talk about which member or couple members would be willing to talk with them, they will gladly come in and do some interviews and such like that, and we can pitch that story
That's a
together.
new idea.
yeah, well, and
Yeah.
and since you've been on the commission for so long and have,
Oh, my God.
no,
I
no,
think, no, Beth beats me.
can talk, but no, I think somebody who's been on the commission and can talk about some of the people that have been honored, and
Yeah, I know a
think
couple.
that history would be really good.
I know Marilyn Peter
I think that's where you're also plugging
and
in
Steve.
City of the Arts, you're plugging, like, I don't care if it's official or non-official. City of the
Yeah.
Arts, you're plugging in community
Send
centric.
me word bites.
Would you like word bites?
Word bites. I would love word bites. I'm really a fan of word bites.
So, I mean, as we flesh it out and complete it, Tier can help with that and put together a press release on behalf from the city, from the
Yes.
Arts Commission. So, I mean, that's what Public Affairs does for us. So
That'd be
that's
great.
not hard. We can pitch the story, and then it's really just having who are the folks from the commission that want to be the
Yeah.
names and who's speaking and such. So, and with Jan being out, I don't expect it to be her. So,
And then we'll all need to plan for time to get together and review everything that
Right.
was sent in later.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that would be
That might be a weekend.
summer, yeah, yeah.
A retreat, as we
Okay.
say.
So if everybody can get me any thoughts or any images from.
well, what I will do is I'm going to make this public, but delist it so it's not on the website, so that you'll all have a link and you can go see this form. Okay, and then you can all provide those comments as well. That works. We don't have all the greatest editing in the software here. I mean, so we can get the greatest fonts, but if you don't like,
Honestly, I would just keep the font, the standard
Okay.
for whatever the website is. I wouldn't,
that's fine. So I'm just giving you that sense of.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because even as a person in the arts, when I want to go to a form and get to it and fill it out,
Mhm.
Just want to fill it.
I just want to get my task done, and it's, so.
The other thing I was gonna bring up in the forum, the city does not have a policy on this, but you can if you wish. I don't know if you want to get into asking for pronouns, naming conventions, things like that. So think about that. You can make those suggestions. There's no policy that says you have to. What is there is perfectly fine from the city's perspective, but some commissions are starting to react to that. But yeah,
Well, I don't think it's a
Yeah.
bad idea.
Yeah,
okay.
At all. It's on everything I get.
So if anybody wants to take a look at it, send any suggestions, send any images you think you would like to have up there from what we've done in the past or any ones, and I'll compile it and get that
Okay.
to Eric.
Yeah.
I'll send them out to everybody and say, this is what we got.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'll talk to you.
Anything else
It's
on
right down the street.
lifetime achievement? Oh, well, actually, with lifetime achievement, we need to talk about the fact that we just voted to,
Tom Engelhardt.
so what do we want to do for Tom?
Beth, did you hear that? You can hear us okay?
Yeah, no, I'm losing I'm losing some conversation here and there, so.
Last month, we voted unanimously to award the Lifetime Achievement in the Arts Award posthumously to Tom Engelhardt.
Mhm.
So, what do we want to do for Tom and when?
was his family contacted?
I did not contact them. If that's supposed to be staff, I will do
No,
that.
we're not.
It
Okay.
was,
We know his family.
I think there's tons.
I think Pam Bliss was the one who brought it up.
She
Pam.
did. She
Yeah.
sent me the papers write-up
Uh-huh.
of Tom. So I don't know if she knows the family, but I can find out. So
didn't somebody say that they were gonna follow up with Pam?
I thought it was it Judy?
Judy was gonna follow up with Pam.
I don't know if it's in the minutes. I felt like that was what I recalled.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
remember also.
I have not heard anything, so.
Yeah, I don't think we can really plan on when or, what until we figure out who the representative will be on his side and what their schedule is. So that's typically what we would do is reach out to that family member. We can give some date options, but then, or like timeframes. But I guess if they're in town, out of town, that kind of thing, it just depends.
I think that we can always state that it's the 24 award, even if the award ends up happening in January because of timing.
Yeah,
It
We've done
can-
that before.
but we need to get them to confirm first. I can follow up with Jan to see if she followed up with Pam. Does that
I
sound
think it was
good?
Judy.
Oh, Judy, yep, sorry,
And
right, Judy Mann,
please do, I will also see Pam, Councilmember Bliss tonight, at council, so I will
okay.
poke that question as well, so. And again, I did clarify with the mayor that they are more than happy that with some of these awards, like especially posthumously, if the family is gonna have tough travel, they're more than happy to use the proclamation time on Tuesday night council meetings to make that, and we've stopped meetings to have receptions and things like that before. So
Anything else, for lifetime achievement? Okay, the Arts Commission schedule on the back.
Yep, if you go to the back of the agenda, there should be an Arts Commission schedule, which is your first Tuesday of the month at 8:30 a.m. is your normal schedule for 2025. I just looked at some holidays, and July 1 is in, the 4th is a Thursday or a Friday this year. So I didn't know if you wanted to meet the week of the July 4th, and then September 2nd is right after Labor Day. So I don't know if you wanted to meet coming back from the holiday day like that. I have no problem with it, but I wanted to flag those. Also see if there's other issues, and also where do you want to take a month off if you want to take a month off. So
If you want to keep those dates or move them.
and then also on the bottom, I just gave you your traditional poetry months. You obviously know it's April. Where are we putting the actual, another event in the fall? And then also we have the sculpture garden event, which I know I have some updates on. That all depends on what kind of sign we decide on, signage, so.
So usually a month off.
Many commissions take December off, especially the morning commissions, the business districts, take December off. July or August seems to be a month that people take off for sort of a summer holiday.
I would recommend that we move the September day. And then take either the July one off or the August one off. The July one may make sense just to not do.
So what would a good day for y'all be?
Looking here, so the second Tuesday is not a good day because they're gonna be, the Old Orchard Commission's in this room at that time, so. But we could go, if you wanted to go just the next day, literally like to the 3rd, if you're in the Labor Day week, we could do that.
Does that work for people?
It's a Wednesday.
Does that work for everybody? If we move it back one day?
Yeah, that'll work for me.
So move that to September 3rd.
Why'd you have a look on your face? Okay.
And since July is potentially an issue anyway, do we just want to skip July?
Do that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
What did we do for Poetry Month this year?
Provided, well, actually, let's go back to the website. Because this was Jenny who put this together, and I believe it was that schedule right there. I don't know that, I think we maybe gave some money, but that's what I know about it right there.
We didn't, because
I don't think we had an event that, not that I'm aware of, because Jenny had just gone and I just started with you all, but there was no event. And you've got some money targeted for Poetry Month, but that doesn't mean if Poetry Month's not happening, if that's not your goal and focus, doesn't have to be done. So I just wanted to give you a sense of the calendar looking a year ahead here.
anything else on dates?
I don't have anything else. I'll get these all codified and we'll get the rooms booked, and then you'll in December get that Zoom email with next year's Zoom dates all on it and such from IT.
Old business, planning input for the Jerry Wells Sculpture Garden naming dedication.
My update from Scott. So Scott Davis, excuse me, Parks and Recreation Director. He was very bullish that I think we can have a sign up by November. And I said, well, what kind of sign are you talking about, Scott? Let's start with that question. And it was not small and diminutive. He was talking about lettering, sort of like Barbary Parks, lettering right along, parts of the rock wall down there. And those could be done. And I said, well, if we're gonna have an event, that's really gonna, November's not the weather that I think we all want to have for an event there. I feel almost like a garden party is what we're trying to have,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So he was fine with that. We may, if we're gonna delay that, we may put up a temporary sign, as we go through that, or if you think we just leave it down until we have a big, nice, whatever we're gonna do, we can do. Talk to Public Works, we can put an arch over the road.
Oh,
Parks Director was like, arch is over the road, but I was like, well, that's not a Parks decision, that's Public Works decision, so.
I thought I saw an email from Judy saying did anybody else remember the email? Judy saying she had talked to Somebody?
well, she was gonna talk to Jerry
Uh-huh.
about what Jerry wanted, sort of thoughts and
Yes.
such.
Yeah.
And she said she would send an email to me.
Uh-huh.
I never got an email with that. Some of that content
Okay,
yesterday, so. And everything to report on that.
It'll be good to know.
so we have, yeah, so, but we have time since
We
we
have
want to
time.
plan something
There's
before it's
no-
nicer weather.
Yes,
Yes.
And so we'll find out what Judy.
yes. Find out what Judy has, and then I think, again, to your all thoughts, what are the right ways to do this? I know we talked about a metal worker, that Jerry has a metal worker, she's artist in town, former mayor. And so, if that's a possibility, we can start to go down that road and then determine whether or not we need to send out for official RFIs or, submissions or how we're gonna do this, or if we're just gonna sole source it and say, you're the person, go get us a nice.
Do we have a budget for this? I mean, is there generally a budget?
So in general, usually we pay, usually about 4,000 to 5,000 for signage at the parks. Oh, yeah, right?
That's,
Yeah.
it's actually not big.
So that's not gonna get you much though, when you
No,
think
no,
about
no,
it now,
I'm
right?
just,
Yeah.
I continue to be amazed.
The amount of money that has. to be
You feel
spent.
like that's a
And what
lot
I
of money
get
or
paid.
not a lot of money?
But no one has defined a budget for this in any way, shape or form. This is one of those one-time things that we know is gonna come up and it's what feels right and what doesn't strike at incredulity when you hear the number, right? Doesn't give you that sticker shock. I could see, and this depends if you want to try to solicit anything to go into this, right? If you're gonna solicit, then it's a much different ballgame. I mean, I could easily see, especially if you're gonna go to an archway, you're easily talking 12 to 15,000.
Yeah, that-
So,
Right.
That's why I keep
That's
looking at
structural.
Alex to,
mhm.
I mean, if we were to get a really cool design and, is there a way to solicit and? What are your thoughts?
Actually, I think we talked about this last meeting, is that, are we backing this up from the celebration opening date? Is that what we're backing it up from in terms of? like,
Yeah,
the
I think-
he's
yeah.
thinking about the timeline for
Yeah.
going out for an RFP and then approving it, then fabrication,
Right.
then
Yeah,
installation, then party.
yeah, I mean, the
Yes.
spring is
Yes.
quick. Because, yeah, people disappear in the holidays and blah, blah, blah. The ground gets cold, you can't install stuff. It just all kinds of logistical things. I mean, I feel like you gotta like define, you have to understand what the conversation was with Jerry. In terms of kind of what she wants, how she wants to be honored, then you have to figure, I would back it out with, okay, now select the date in which you are trying to open it, even if it's just a general month. Is it April? Is it May? And one that makes sense, I guess, for the city's calendar. And then you're talking about the logistics
Yeah,
of
yeah.
kind of like whatever, but I mean, my gut is saying May at the earliest, unless Eric.
No, I mean, so you could sole source this project, right? Which simply means you would skip the RFP and you say, that's what I want, you're gonna build it for me, right?
I mean, it,
That's not a general practice we like to dive into.
Mhm.
I think also though, we do the RFPs here because we don't have the rigor in our procurement code that a lot of the bigger institutions have, so we can be on the street for a short amount of time with an RFP.
okay.
I really think the difference is to say, an RFP for us is, this is what we want. How much is it gonna cost me to get that thing done?
Right.
Versus an RFI or an RFQ, which is, this is the concept that we want, put your creative thoughts behind it, and it's a design build type process, right? And so now you get into the proprietary buying of design, like,
Oh, yeah.
are these gonna be public designs? You think of the arch, the museum, the arch, got built and, or are those proprietary held things that they all get back and we can't release and talk about it? That comes a question then with every one of those kinds of procurements, if we're not buying them, give you a sense, the pool was a design build, the new water park, and it cost $65,000 to buy the proprietary rights to a set of plans that didn't get selected.
Oh, wow.
I think you really have to hear the conversations from what Jerry has said with Judy, because I mean, you can't go down any path until you understand that, I guess
I
Jerry
will add
is.
that to my email update to Judy.
And I think, it's good to hear all those things, and also then that helps the city calibrate, right? I mean,
Yeah,
what are we expecting here? Is this a whole reworking of the intersection, that we're thinking of? Or is this, a sign somehow? So
Well, and I am just thinking about, the presentation before we get into it, that you gave last month.
Mhm.
Just saying, if we're saying, hey, we want to incorporate the arts into everything, it's like, we better incorporate it into the sculpture park, so.
So I think Jerry probably has a pretty good understanding of like the logistical hurdles and like what can be done
Mhm.
simply and
Yeah,
whatever else. What timelines are.
So, I'm gonna table this conversation until next month after we hear from Judy.
Yes.
And I
This
will,
Discussion with Jerry.
I think midway through the month, I'll do a prompt reminder that we do need to start having that conversation, because if we delay into December, having that conversation, we really push back.
It may need to be even 30-minute informal
Sure.
Zooms to do logistical conversations.
Yep.
So.
I mean, I would very much advocate in understanding all these timelines and variables and all these other things for it's some type of fabricator that understands this, even if you're able to select three, we understand. And graphics does this type of work. Who are the other types of vendors that do this type of work?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, we're talking, oh my gosh.
Yes.
There's only so many skilled, in terms of what we're talking about, in terms of like creative signage and actually understanding how to fabricate and work with city governments to
Mhm.
fulfill this. There's not a lot of vendors that actually have the skill set to do that.
So that makes it easier. Make a
I
decision. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so, but I defer to Eric on
Well,
that.
so in our procurement world, I mean, I'm not speaking ill of Dale Sign and Services. We use them as an example, right? We go to them a lot, but it's non-creative people like me, like, okay, I need the Lions Club thingy,
Communicating
logo.
information. It's
Exactly.
with font big
Yeah,
enough.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
that kind of stuff. So we're not sitting here coming up with a creative way to
Yes.
look at that, right? And so that's the problem we have making that procurement on our side is we're not those people think, what's the possibilities, right? As I thought about this, I'm like, oh, this is great, because we could incorporate public art. I'm like, it'd be our first painted sidewalks, or painted crosswalks right there. Use a different way of color down there on the crosswalks. Dave, you were talking about hydrants, those kinds of
It's
things.
a threshold.
Right, and we've not done that at all. In fact, please push back on that. Manual on uniform traffic control devices speaks ill of that concept, but see them all over.
I mean, listen, I prefer that level of detail, granular detail, but the level that it gets to will increase triple
Oh,
the
yeah.
price,
Of
because you're
course.
talking about
Right.
designers. You're now paying for design concepts. And that's what the price is. I mean, forget about the labor and the fabric and the actual material.
I would imagine that Public Works will put the thing up if it's not overly complex. So if it's poles in the ground, we usually put those up, so.
So first find out what Jerry is hoping for, we'll deal with it next month. Community arts updates.
So I've created this spot to just put all these different things about updates and arts, but I wanted to say, Gazebo Series had a great run this year. I did get a report from Fran Sudicum. They obviously lost a couple dates to weather, but the last one is coming up this Friday night, which was the first night, kids' night, so that is being added. Just for you all's information, police have done, the new chief has really stepped up our emphasis on public safety in those gatherings, so you're gonna see a whole line of barricades along Big Bend there to sort of give kids a little visual barrier, since it's kids' night, not to go running at the county road in Gazebo Park, so, which is great. Jazz and Blues Festival, first of all, thank you, Vice Chair Steele, for being there at 1:30 in the morning. Did you leave?
We finished.
Yeah, so, but,
Volunteering.
and they helped
Clean up.
tear down. It was
It's
awesome.
actually fun.
Yeah, it's amazing how all morning you're sort of putting that all together and it slowly comes together, and then at night just,
Strike is always
Yeah.
one to
Yeah.
It is.
So, but a very successful festival. The committee was very pleased. They're meeting actually right now over at Garden Cafe. So, Porch Fest, Dave has got Porch Fest coming up.
Yep.
So I'm very happy to say that's happening. And this is just any other updates on it.
Has the map been posted?
Hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, we always set it out, not meant the week before, because we've learned we send it out too early, people
Things change.
lose it and stuff, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think hopefully tomorrow. latest Thursday, but sorry, tomorrow.
And any other updates? Does anyone have anything they want to talk about or? All right. I don't know. what-
Can I add one? I'm a visitor but at the Jazz and Blues Festival, for the first time ever, there was a gospel hour where it was an all-black performers that came from the Gospel Temple Church in Northwest, which is an all-black church. And I gotta tell you, I thought they were wonderful, but when they came off the stage and you just looked at their faces, they were so happy and so proud and so thankful to connect with the community and a sense of belonging. And I just thought it was wonderful. And it was packed. I mean, I've never seen it that big in the Gazebo series. That's packed. I've never seen it so big. It's like people love these events.
They are.
Yeah.
So with,
Mhm.
just with updates and city update as we get to next one, are we gonna talk about the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a sort of planned in city update, but you'll see number 6 sort of keep coming back in the agenda. So these are not necessarily our things, but arts related updates. So if you just want to say, Rep's doing a great thing, or, we're going to see something at the Garden Cafe, that really adds to the life.
Well, getting back to, I mean, just the whole city of the arts, I've been thinking about, we have wonderful groups putting events on all the time,
Mhm.
fabulous groups putting events on. And we are really fortunate that the rep is here. We are really fortunate that the opera is here. And we are fortunate that they're here because we've got Webster University and so. But,
We don't have an arts calendar,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah, we
We
don't,
just don't have an arts calendar.
yeah,
Right.
so.
I don't disagree. There's-
Just put
Better.
an oil stick.
If we're gonna really, even unofficially, be city of the arts, how do we help?
Yeah. So-
Really promote that.
Yeah, so Explore Webster Groves is the brand that the city has
Yeah.
used for that. And so the Explore Webster Groves page builds off city webpage, same sort of design, but it's a different page,
Mhm.
different URL. We do keep City of the Arts up at top with the organizations. We have the galleries, different festivals and events. We update this schedule. And then we encourage folks, when they have event, to submit, right here under the events, to submit an event. Dave, you've done this, comes in public affairs, and then that goes in the community events calendar
Yeah.
here. And so the galleries are really good at this, right? When they've got exhibits, they're always constantly sending us these. Most people don't know, and that's one of the things that's that word of mouth, like
Yeah.
all the business licenses to anyone who even thinks like an arts organization, they all get this little extra add-on. Like, please send your information, the little stuff, stuffers, right, in the envelope. But we all know that this doesn't happen for everyone or.
Right,
So
right.
it does, it picks up. We mentioned this, we'll go to a couple of heavy months, then it'll die off to the stuff. So Fran Sudicum, in our business world, business district, she helps with that, really drives a lot of that information, but whatever help you can offer in that regard would be great. This is where the art.
Please continue. Right in or out.
So this is, we can update this calendar with any of that event. The other thing we don't do is like a specific sale.
Mhm.
Sale on jeans at Acme. Not really.
Wait for the theater season opens.
Mhm.
I mean, if you don't want to do every, it's a nightmare to do an arts calendar.
Uh-huh.
Because it's like you've got dates and times and
Mhm.
whatever else you've got. But at least for like seasons opening or,
Right.
something like that. Maybe the bigger things, but I don't know who, these are really nightmares.
Yes. So this is run through public affairs, that T.R. Thomas manages this. And we're happy to add all events that kind of stuff up to this. I agree with you, like trying to get specific matinee hours in and all things, is,
Yeah, please call.
right,
X for,
exactly. I would add this is the brand, so city is engaged in digital advertising, also some radio advertising, print advertising. This is the brand that gets pushed. So like when we're in the holiday season and promoting things, we're not saying go webstergrosmo.gov. People will go to a city website to get that information. We push people to explorewebgrowth.com. That's our sort of our regional tourism type brand, and we have used that and patterned that to be the place to go for the arts as well. To land.
Well, I mean. you
We
know,
can have another URL to that.
No, I'm just saying, because I know like the rep is really desperate to come back.
Mhm.
You know, and we're desperate for the rep to come back.
Mhm.
And, you know, it would think, you know, any kind of links they can have, and just also on the town and gown kind of
Right.
link kind of thing.
Yeah, probably just contacting, so.
It would be really
their
nice to have-
folks can come in. and-
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yep. So they could submit it. Anyone who's in the.
Maybe we just need
well,
to invite,
I'll contact them, actually, I'm going to the office this afternoon, so.
well, I'm designing a show for the rep, I guess I could
Yeah.
contact them.
You wanna contact the rep, I'll
Yeah, I'll
contact the
contact
author,
the
and
rep.
then we can figure out who to contact at
Yeah.
Webster
And
University.
I can
Oh,
pull
I
it.
could probably figure that out.
Yeah, if you'll contact the Webster U and the rep, and I'll contact the author about getting them to put their things on here.
I need a deadline. I'm terrible with that.
Next week.
Eric, do you know, is the rep already submitting or do they submit? to
Beth,
this?
I'm so sorry you had me shoot right out of my chair there.
Okay.
Voice from heaven.
Yeah, well,
I have not seen anything from the rep. I did get a call from the rep, though. They wanted to come and talk with the Business Development Commission. I wondered if, you know, at some point, if they want to come and chat with you, but they didn't ask specifically about that. So
Okay.
I'm sorry. I forgot to share with Beth. So you were not seeing where I'm navigating. So.
You know, and obviously the banners aren't on the, I don't know where the banners are, and they're not on the agenda, but I mean, I was just, with this, it's like if we had the banners, City of the Arts, and then find out more, explore Webster Grove. I mean, is
Yeah.
that where we get
That's-
people to think about
Yes,
where to look?
yes,
And
yes.
so it's not, I guess the banners have to be in another.
The banners will come back. So I think there's a new public works director, not getting rid of the banners. Please don't hear me. We're not getting rid of the banners. He's evaluating because there's there's 12 different sets of banners between the 3 business districts and the city and such,
is
and all these
true.
different poles. So we changed them, and some districts don't have fall ones, some districts do. So he's trying to figure out what's the right schedule and then what's the replacement schedule. So we're not buying a whole slug of banners at one shot.
What do they cost? I mean, seriously, what does a banner cost to print? I mean, obviously it needs to be signed as well.
Big one like that one, if we were to buy it, like the City of Arts are out there, the bigger ones are. I would say probably the last one I bought was 280, I think. And that was pre-COVID inflation, so it's probably 350 now. And there's 56 City of the Arts banners between the big ones and the smaller ones.
Could you send me like who the rep specifically and what?
Sure,
like,
yeah.
Who they would
Sure.
contact?
Who they would contact here to,
Yeah.
okay,
to
not a
put
problem.
that information in,
Yep.
and maybe I might do a quick
Yep.
preliminary conversation with them as well,
Sounds
just to say, I'm gonna go talk to them.
Why don't I send this all to you? I'll send
Yeah.
what the links are and who they go and who at City
Yes.
Hall can take that
Yes,
information in.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
That would.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
send it to the entire commission. So,
Yeah, I just don't want to go
Okay.
like, well, yeah, next week I'll talk to somebody, I'd just like to rather have it.
yeah, got
But the banners could be really nice ways to get that information
it.
out.
Yes. Absolutely good. I think to answer Dave's question, as we briefly talked about the banners, I think there was a lot of business that the businesses are sponsoring, but also there was some that commented on the design, the logo, and it's like, that's a lot of stuff and I know with my white box with my name under it. So there was a couple that responded that way about the logo that they don't mind the slogan. I don't know that they were supportive of that. And then there was others, I think it just was like, you know, you have out of town salespeople, essentially, you know, I mean, that's
Yeah.
always.
Yes, yes.
The other one to add to your list at Webster U is the community music school,
Oh,
which
yeah.
a lot of time gets
I'll just talk
lost.
to Paul,
Oh, good.
because he's
Okay.
the dean of all of it.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Anything else for community arts updates? Okay, city update.
City update just briefly, in January, chair, vice chair, and secretary elections. And secretary, you have to decide whether or not you have staff do the minutes, or if you want to hire, make one of yourselves a secretary to do the minutes. So I've just given you notice of that, and we'll have an official memo next month, so you all know that. And then we had to talk about, I don't think, obviously Jan's not here. Janice, were you at the mayor's lunch meeting, the board and commissions? Okay, so there's really 2 items to sort of debrief on. One is the council presentation Alex gave at the beginning of September. And then the chair and vice chair of every commission was invited to a lunch meeting with the mayor to go over just sort of roles, expectations, you know, the new handbook that's out, which have all of you gotten that, or has that gone out to members?
I don't know, I mean, I know we've got it,
Right.
those of us who went. but I don't know if-
So you're going to get, there's a actual, for the first time ever, a handbook for board and commission members that the council has put together, mayors. So just expectations, roles, what does the open meetings law mean? What does it mean to be a member? How do we do this? Who do we contact with these questions? You know, sort of trying to give you the place to go to. So, so those are the two things to debrief. I think the biggest is Alex's presentation to council. So Alex, I will turn to you.
Well,
Big sigh.
I mean, I think the summary of it is really trying to put together this idea of a framework where arts and culture integrates into master planning and master planning processes. So what I tried to do was I tried to use the pre-existing aspects of, what was it called? The plan the key community themes were theme 1, creative economy, theme 5, culture and community, theme 6, parks and open space. I mean, basically 3 out of the 6 key themes integrate in some way, shape or form, arts and culture. So what I was trying to get at is, you know, and I think the city manager is really keen on it, is how do you integrate resources into this, right? And you don't have to do it where it's like, okay, here's $500,000 for a piece of public art. What you can do is, okay, well, we need a new fire hydrant. Okay, well, we need new signage. Well, we need whatever. It's like what you're trying to do is you're trying to integrate the creative economy into your infrastructure and look at this idea of how and which type of vendors you're using and how do you integrate creatives into that infrastructure. Does that make sense? Does that come with clarity? That was kind of my pitch. I do think my homework and what I left with, and maybe this is the most important part that I should have started with, is that I'm going to develop some models. And I'm going to get together and compile some models of what this looks like, right? So everything from, 1% from the arts to more untraditional ways to do it in which cities integrate this type of kind of creative economy into their infrastructure. Because there's a lot of ways to manage it or to do it. It really depends on, you know, this core question that I kept saying is like, who does Webster Groves want to be? Right? Like this is the core question that has to be answered. If we cannot answer this question on a holistic umbrella level, who do we want to be? Then we are nobody, right? We are nothing. And what I use as an example, and this relates to City of the Arts, is Brentwood is the city of warmth, right? Shrewsbury is its home. Okay, what is Webster Groves?
And if I can add something here, I love, and I do feel as though we're City of the Arts, but what I felt in that meeting that there are a couple of council members that I felt were a little non-receptive. And my sense is that as a city, we're struggling with affordable housing. And there's and we want to have we want to have
Affordable housing.
yeah, we want affordable housing. Okay, I think there's something wrong. But my sense is that we have to show the council how we can have both. How we can have the arts, how we can be City of the Arts, how we can have all these wonderful things. And make it be inclusive and have affordable housing. I mean, that's my sense.
Yeah.
I guess as I was picking it up from a couple of comments that were being made. So how do we integrate that? And I think that's something we really have to show how it can be built. And having the arts and having this wonderful culture can allow us to also have affordable.
I mean, I think too, you know, this idea of like how cities shape up, I mean, they're dictated by the policies in which they make, right? I mean, we think it comes about organically, but it's based upon the policies that they make or decide not to make, right? So it's both.
Yeah.
It's both. And I think all I'm advocating for, here's another example. And I think, I don't know if we touched upon this on the meeting or not, but this idea of sustainability I know is big, right? And it's big in all cities. Well, you can integrate artists and artist practices into this, right? I mean, the Pulitzer has this park-like space that's across from its institution. That is that's an artist collective that is like a horticulturalist and integrating parks features and art and creativity into the mix and biodiversity. So there's ways to do it without just kind of going, hey, staff member, hey, vendor that we always use, which might be a small business and it's fine, but you know, so are artists. Artists are small businesses too, right? So and these types of creatives and creative fabricators also have small businesses. It's like, let's just expand this idea of what we think about as a vendor. Because I know cities go to their regular types of vendors and it maybe just doesn't get in front of those types of fabricators or artists, you know? And so how do you do that?
So we have to make it an and. We can do this and we can still be, allowed for these other things.
Yeah, and I want it to be just like another thing that feels like it has to be fulfilled or checkboxed or whatever. It needs to be a value that's integrated into the fabric of the city planning process. And that's hard. That's a big ask, you know, that's a big ask.
I think to give you some context of what I know from the backside, I think there is I would not say a majority, but there's a couple folks on council that there is this a public art fund financial ask that is a competing resource draw to other major things, right?
Sure.
But at the same point, housing and creativity are values that we have talked about, in the strategic plan. Creativity was pulled out from a goal, the arts out as a goal, to be placed in as a value. To really get to what you're talking about, Alex, is how do we take a look at all these different processes and machinations that we go through to do something here and look at it on how we can involve the creative world and creative concepts in that. We don't do procurement, right? I mean, this is, back to RFPs. I need that bucket that looks like that to do that thing. So I go find 3 vendors that sell me those buckets and I get my quotes and I go buy that, And that's the routine we have. I mean, I think really you look at the Silverman's donated, maybe they park right up on Newport,
Glen Park.
Glen Park, thank you. Glen Park, we went out to get a regular recreation setup and Silverman's like, that whole outfit that there, Webster Road was never gonna buy that recreation play atmosphere stuff that they put in. That was all Silverman's adding a creative moment into that, which the city, it is literally not our processes to do. It is not anywhere. So there are all things to be done there. I think they struggle with that in procurement, even just so you know, just even the concept of how do we involve minority businesses? How do we involve women-owned businesses, right? Because we have not that's not in our code at all as well.
Yeah.
And
You
then
don't have like a.
No.
Goal?
Nope. For you? No, I
This doesn't surprise me. That type of thing doesn't surprise me because the thing that I was also trying to get at too is that because this master planning process is occurring, this is the time to think about this large umbrella visioning values-based thing. However, I also want to make sure that if it feels too burdensome and too complete to actually accomplish, I don't want to keep pressing because then I'm just beating a dead horse and I need to step back. One of the things I was focusing on, again, taking a plan or a draft plan that was already in place, these opportunity areas, and those opportunity areas were defined as West Pacific Avenue, Watson Road, Marshall, and Summit Avenue. So could you, yes, think about the holistic value structure and model and keep trying to pursue that in terms of kind of like this umbrella city model, while using 3 manageable opportunity areas as pilot test programs, right? So where you go, okay, West Pacific Avenue, how do you integrate the creative economy into West Pacific Avenue? How do you integrate the creative economy into Watson Road? That type of thing. And what I need to do, and I haven't done my homework yet, is just sit down and get together kind of this models list. It ranges from, you know, a community, creating a nonprofit community partner, a community foundation. It's 1% for the arts. It could be a public arts fund, or it's some type of policy that further integrates the creative economy into the opportunities of the infrastructure that you're already going to do, right? And
I think this concrete examples are what will bring along or initiate a conversation to bring.
right now it's too abstract,
Yeah.
but I think the first iteration had to be this kind of overarching value abstract.
But you're basically trying to show examples where they aren't mutually exclusive.
Right.
You know, and that's in essence that they're wedded together.
They definitely shouldn't be competitive.
Right.
You know, like if we go in thinking of that like, oh, well, this pot of money has to compete against this pot of money, we will always
Right.
lose.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and you know, and I can't spill enough data about how arts and culture create to more economic, vibrant, beautiful cities in which people want to live, work, and play. You know, the data already exists on that.
Right.
How do you?
And specific to St. Louis, it exists.
Yeah, so like, how do you actually implement that is a whole different way. But anyway, so homework is for me to kind of get these models, and maybe what I do is I do my homework, I bring these models to this commission and we kind of discuss.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think, you know, that was the other key piece I think that council was grappling on. Okay, so we've got the master plan, the arts culture master plan, which once existed. We're doing the new comprehensive plan. There's pieces of that are gonna have to be in the comprehensive plan, right? I mean, that value statement and that broad scope. But then there's the implementing stuff and all that, you know, how do we do this, you know, going forward? And that's, you know, I think they were still struggling with, was this separate from the comprehensive plan? Is it subordinate to, is it secondary to, you know, how those things work? And
Yeah.
I mean, the city hasn't done a comprehensive plan. The last one was before I was born. So I mean, there's no one on that dais that has gone through this process ever,
Oh,
you know.
well, that explains.
So I mean, this is 1978 when we last did the
Yeah.
comprehensive plan. So, but to the point, I mean, what you have already done has already kicked off some thoughts because we've already started now. How do we in finance? Because we started on procurement review, but then how do we wrap that in? How do we start to think about, you know, I need to go buy, I don't know, something, you know, that may be adaptive reuse materials, right? You know, for facilities. How do we start to do that? Meeting sustainability. How do I get Sean Finnegan, the sustainability coordinator, in the room on some of those to help us talk about how do we meet sustainability and creative cultures in the same spot? So that our folks in accounting that literally just want to make sure that money goes from A to B and does it in the right way, you know, and also hopefully doesn't slow down our procurement time, which is of course a key metric we have to live by and, you know, things like that. So how do we do that? How do we bring vendors in? What's the outreach we have to do to bring the creative economy in, to understand what it means to be a vendor in the city and potentially bid on these things? So.
I mean, I will say this, you know, that I don't think I presented council with this, is that like, I think this city has the ability, just as I think Clayton has the ability to do a 1% for the arts program. You know, there's an interest, Columbia can do it, all these different other smaller cities can do this. It is so achievable, but there just has to be the will. There has to be the will and the leadership.
And when you share that and give the stories, I mean, it's that you share the models, but also give the stories.
Yeah.
Who's doing it and when it's done for them.
Yeah.
That question.
1% sales tax?
Yeah, I don't care where you take it from.
Sales tax,
You know,
2.8 million a year, go from a couple thousand to 2.8 million a year.
what you could do with $500,000 would be incredible.
We could,
And
instead of making kids pay for the Spooky Ghost contest, sponsor the Spooky Ghost contest.
and the amount of,
Little things like that, and then where you could,
the amount of
Right.
oversight can be created, right? In terms of like who's managing the governing board, the finances and all this, so like that's stuff that I don't think you have to worry about. I think it's more so it's like, okay, well, what's the definition? What's AI? What's whatever? It's like, but if you had just a small set aside kind of funding structure that you weren't chasing it down and it was integrated into your value system, it's just a game changer. But if there was also a way to take that pot of money to 2 million, 1 million, 500,000, whatever it is, and actually integrate it into the departments, that's even more interesting, where it's like, it's already there. It's already there. You're building the signage, you're building the whatever. How do you integrate it into it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yay. Thank you.
Anything from your meeting with the mayor, that lunch meeting that you want to debrief for everyone?
No, just if, there are standards they would like everybody to hold to. There's a binder available, a book available, and they would like everybody to read it so that we all know how to operate properly. So
If you all are looking at me like you're looking at me, that means you haven't gotten it from the clerk yet, so I will find out when it's coming and make sure you get it.
Yeah,
There also will be a link. Neil did a little presentation about sunshine law in that, the city attorney. So we're gonna edit that piece out and send it out to all the members.
that's a good idea. And actually, before we leave, I mean, first of all, thank you for everything you're doing. It's so exciting. Love your idea about public art on even
Fire
fire hydrants.
Mhm.
Because I was thinking a couple meetings ago, when I was in California, Laguna Beach had this wonderful
Oh.
program where they had artists paint palettes and they put them on the flagpoles.
Yep.
And it was just great. And they had different artists. So, and what they did is they asked for, artists to submit designs and then do it. And I think that'd be a great idea to just,
Yeah, so,
and not cost us anything.
right, yeah, so
Let
absolutely.
people know
And
about it.
if the Arts Commission wants to recommend anything, I'm gonna share this with Beth, you can see it as well. I will make sure you all have access to these things, but this is on the internal internet, so you're not gonna be able to see it the same way, but we have the recommendation forms, so for policy or funding.
Mhm.
And so you don't have to develop these here at the meeting, so, like, what you're talking about, like, let's make this flat palette thing happen. You would use this policy process document right there that shows you the process. All you're really doing is bringing it back to this commission and saying, this is a great idea I have. Would you all support me? Or does the Arts Commission recommend this, right? And make it the Arts Commission's recommendation and it flows up through this process and things that are, trust me, the management team is looking for things like that are
Low
not
cost, and we
low
just
cost
tell
and they're good
people-
wins and they're,
I mean,
we,
obviously, we need
yeah.
to take a look at it and,
Right.
say, yeah, you go for it.
Right. Yeah, we would put a rigor behind it, but it's fundamentally, it's not $1 million program you're starting, so. But I will make sure all of you have those forms as well, so you can bring those to meetings and add them on the agenda. And they can become Arts Commission recommendations.
Anything else? We have a motion to adjourn? Motion. Second, and Al, all in favor? Aye.
they're holding hands.
Any opposed?